Our project will go over the importance of sexual harassment awareness and preventative measures to create a safe learning environment for all students. We find this to be an important social issue to address because we're all women and know from firsthand experience that this is... Our project will go over the importance of sexual harassment awareness and preventative measures to create a safe learning environment for all students. We find this to be an important social issue to address because we are all women and know from firsthand experience that society sexually exploits women on a daily basis. This doesn't diminish the fact, however, that everyone is oppressed in a capitalist society. This includes men and individuals of the LGBTQ and trans community. No one should have to live in fear of being coerced or taken advantage of in any setting, let alone in an academic one. The sad reality is that anyone can be abusive or be the victim of abuse. It happens regardless of your gender, age, race, ethnic background, or sexual orientation. We live in a society that has normalized the ideas that these things just simply happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. However, slowly but surely, these stigmas have been breaking due to awareness of the issue. Awareness is paramount as it can educate individuals to make proactive steps in protecting themselves and to share that awareness with other people. This can form large, organized social movements to change these faulted norms within our society. There are many different types of sexual harassment that can be found on campus, ranging from sexual comments, jokes, gestures, or looks, or some more direct ways of harassing someone in the realm of being touched, grabbed, or pinched in a sexual way. Another especially damaging form of sexual harassment that students face is sexual rumors that may damage one's reputation. Having sexual rumors spread is a real fear that has serious implications and can even lead to suicide. Sexual harassment is a systemic issue that pervades all aspects of society. Many potential benefits can arise after sexual harassment in schools is specifically addressed and changes are made. Once solutions are implemented and people are held accountable, it is possible that more people will not only attend campuses, but complete their education to further their career. Too often, people feel they cannot attend class or their school due to the fact that sexual harassers can go unnoticed and unpunished. This is a real problem, not only at University of Hawaii Hilo, but at all campuses throughout the United States. This is, again, a systemic issue that affects everyone. Yeah.
So for our intervention plan, the main thing that we want to focus on is spreading awareness and education of what sexual harassment really is and what to do if you are a victim of this. One of the problems that we face as a society today is that a lot of people don't know exactly what sexual harassment is, so it goes unnoticed and undocumented plenty of times, and so our goal is to really spread awareness and so people that are victims know that it's happening and people that are witnesses can also recognize when this is happening. So for our first step of the intervention plan, we plan on creating flyers and posters to place up around campus, all over in main hotspots of the campus, and the information that we plan on having on these posters are what draws a line of sexual harassment, like what things are considered sexual harassment, what to do when you are a victim of this, and like who to call, what to do, and just making people recognize these will help people be able to feel more comfortable speaking out about this problem when they are a victim. To make sure that people are actually reading these posters and getting the information and processing and absorbing all of it, we plan on having volunteers around at the tables placed near the posters so that people can feel free to ask questions and just become more educated on that. So after that, the next thing that we will plan to do is we really want to get some guest speakers to speak to the campus, obviously, about these issues, and we want some firsthand survivors and victims of sexual assault so that their word is more valid and just they understand from personal experience. And lastly, besides those two things, we will plan on having a hotline or a text line for sexual assault. So when this happens to a person, they can call or text someone right away, get the help they need, and they can feel comfortable speaking out on this issue, because a big problem that we do experience is people don't feel comfortable speaking about it because of the statistics of how many assaulters go get no punishment. So it's really a sensitive subject, and it's really hard for people to speak out on this, and that is one goal that we are really trying to avoid and get past. So that is about it for our intervention plan.
Okay, describing the effectiveness of our intervention according to in social psychological terms. So why we thought our intervention would work. And so what we mainly focused on was on changing norms. While the current norm is, or I should say the injunctive norm is, that such behavior isn't tolerated and that you should report it, and the descriptive norm shows a very different side. People aren't reporting it. So we focused on making, kind of capitalizing on this already existing injunctive norm. So first thing we wanted to do was advertising norms that would disapprove of any behavior, and basically creating a campus environment where people feel like the campus is on their side, and they're taking a very explicit stance on how they feel about sexual harassment, on whether it will go punished or unpunished. So, and we're going to do that through our through multiple programs, ongoing programs, flyers, and just really creating a presence and atmosphere that says that the campus goes against it. And we believe that it will work in two ways. First, it will appeal to people's sense of social responsibility. If they feel like the norm is to report, they're more likely to do it. And secondly, it also will discourage individuals who would, just like we learned in the aggression chapter, would be likely to act in such ways, will be discouraged when the campus has a strong and very open stance on the issue. Our second intervention, we focused on avoiding the bystander effect. So a lot of times people want to help, but they're not sure on how to help, and therefore they're sort of in the situation where they kind of pass on helping. And we wanted to avoid that by extensive education on what sexual harassment is. So part of why people aren't reporting it is because they're not sure what they're seeing is sexual harassment. And there was actually a lot of research done by Dr. Paludi, who wrote the book Sexual Harassment on Campuses and the Ivory Power in 1996. And she basically found that a lot of times we have different ideas of what it is. And so if UH Hilo has their own definition of what they believe sexual harassment is, there's a consensus. And then secondly, we were hoping to activate people's goals of wanting, so we focused on the goal of activating the goal of trying to understand ourselves and others by increasing the chance of individuals responding pro-socially. So, and that would be done through providing the education and materials and that are attention grabbing, and also written and presented in ways that make the issue personal and relevant, because it's when things are relevant to us, for example, knowing that this could happen to us, we're more likely to act on that. So ultimately what we're hoping is to increase awareness through education, and that students feel that they're partially responsible for the level of safety. So really individual, also activating people's goals of self and again, social responsibility. And so that's what we were hoping to do.
All right. To evaluate the effectiveness of our intervention, we will be conducting 2 surveys for the students to fill out to report on their experiences. The surveys will be mailed out to UH Hilo students, as well as options to take them on campus if they like. By using a technique to increase compliance, we'll be able to acquire more student participants for the survey to gather a better overall picture of the effectiveness. Our technique is the That's Not All technique, by offering a complimentary $5 gift certificate for the Deja Brew coffee kiosk on campus as an additional benefit to completing each survey. An initial survey will be conducted a week after our posters, flyers, and other educational materials were implemented throughout the campus to determine how beneficial students found the material and what other content they might like to see. Items on the survey would include open-ended as well as closed-ended questions, yes or no questions, and nominal questions. Some survey questions will focus on feedback from students regarding how they think our campuses can better improve inclusion of sexual and gender minority students on an institutional and individual level. This is an important focus of our survey, as a greater perceived inclusion of sexual and gender minority people on campus is associated with significantly lower odds of experiencing sexual assault victimization. Other questions seek to gain clarity regarding the implementation of sexual harassment and violence trainings. A goal of intervention is to determine how to best serve students in educating them on preventative methods and intervention training in a way that best serves them. So, our initial survey will include questions to determine how best to incorporate the Green Dot Bystander Intervention Training Program. We are going to ask students to rate the overall effectiveness of all our educational tools, posters, etc., what additional information they might be seeking on the topic of sexual harassment, what other suggestions they have for practicing safety and sexual harassment awareness on campus. Some questions will ask what specific topics students would like addressed by our upcoming guest speakers. We would include a space for each survey participant to write any questions they would like to be answered to the guest speaker as well. At the end of the survey, a portion will be included to ask participants for feedback with an option to write in additional suggestions, comments, or questions and concerns. So here's a few sample questions we include on our surveys to get a general idea of what they'll look like. Number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, how safe do you feel on campus? 0 being extremely unsafe and 10 being extremely safe. 2, what are some important factors that determine how safe you feel on campus? 3, do you find the educational material around campus helpful? 4, on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you utilizing the Safe Space hotline? 5, what are more topics you would like to see covered by future guest speakers? 6, what greater steps can the campus take to foster inclusivity of all students? 7, how likely are you to attend a preventative bystander intervention training such as the Green Dot program? And 8, would you prefer sexual harassment and violence prevention trainings to be mandatory or optional? After the 2-week time period of our intervention was carried out, we would then present students with a second survey with similar questions to gather a greater understanding of their overall experience and satisfaction with our educational tools, guest speakers, and the Safe Space hotline for sexual harassment. That's it. Thank you.